Good afternoon and welcome to Dialogue with Deidre. I'm your host, Deidre Malone. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is a special program. Those of you who follow me on social media know that I am a true public servant. I really get involved in my community and I've kicked it up. Again, the last probably 8 years on the national front. I've had an opportunity to serve with the National Women's Political Caucus in a number of roles. But in the last 3 weeks or so, I had the opportunity to be elected as the national president of the National Women's Political Caucus. It truly is an honor. We had a phenomenal Biennial Convention in Richmond, Virginia. It was our 26th Biennial Convention. And I was elected the 15th president of this organization. What are we all about? Our mission is to recruit, train, and elect pro-choice women. Doesn't matter what party affiliation that you are associated with. You can be an independent. You can be a Democrat, a Republican. As long as you believe that women should have a choice when it comes to their reproductive health care decisions. We want you to be a part of our organization. And let me just say, in the last few years, you know that we now have a lot of work to do. So, I ran on a platform of reimagining the National Women's Political Caucus and resetting the organization for the future. If you know anything about our organization, you know that there were some incredible women who founded us in 1971. You've heard of Gloria Steinem. You've heard of Shirley Chisholm. You've heard of Fannie Lou Hamer. You've heard of Bella Abzug. You've heard of these women, but there were a number of other women who joined them as a part of the convention to start our organization. And I am just humbled and grateful and thankful that the women who attended the convention elected me to serve as their president. Most of you may not know that in August of 1971, August 26th to be exact, one of our founders, Bella Abzug, proposed to Congress that they have a Women's Equality Day. And Congress passed that. And so that was advanced by the National Women's Political Caucus. So August the 26th, when we celebrate National Women's Equality Day, that is something that was advanced by our organization. So let's fast forward 50 years later. And what is our organization doing? We're still fighting for equality for women, and we will spend the next 2 years under my term doing just that. I was very fortunate to win this election, but I made a number of promises, and I promise you, being a former elected official, I don't make promises that I don't plan on keeping. And some of those things I talked about that we would do, and our producer is going to actually share with you an excerpt of my my nomination speech before the election as a part of this show. And Megan, we'll do that at this point right now. Work and collaboration, goals. I have built myself an existence where I can now put more time into stabilizing our earned rights and the equality you and I deserve. I'm an entrepreneur, 20 years in. I own my own business with a talented staff of 15 people I handpicked to help me fight for the justice and success of people I choose to work with across this country. As you know, Memphis is no easy lane for women's equality. I have fought the anti-women, anti-progressive, anti-human rights behavior that prevents us from living in an equal society. We work hard in Tennessee. We work very hard in Tennessee, like you do in Texas
you do in Kansas, and you do in Missouri. But unlike you in California, Washington, Massachusetts, New York, and New Jersey, we don't get very far. My decision to run for president of the National Women's Political Caucus, I gotta get NAACP out of my head, was to stand up, roll up my sleeves, and be counted by one of the few women's organizations that put so much energy into bringing the states still lagging behind to a place of more equality. We don't have the resources, the money, the voter majorities, nor the press any of you do in those close to 50% representation of elected women in your states. In many of our places, we just want one woman elected. I hope to bring a sense of style and marketing that I believe is needed if you're going to make more than 50 years of a 50-year-old organization appeal to young women to whom we can pass the torch. We need to inspire a new generation of good troublemakers. They are ready, but we have not asked them to join us in a way that we know that we need to ensure the continuity of this organization. I will help create a replicable example of how we can encourage young women under 35 to join the National Women's Political Caucus. And I will challenge each of you and every one of you to be accountable for getting those numbers in to help me. Fighting for the ERA, overturning this Supreme Court decision on Roe versus Wade, getting rid of the war on trans kids, glorifying slavery and ending education of its sordid history. Yes, we'll stay on top of all of those issues if I'm elected, just like Donna did. And we will respond quickly. But here are some new priorities that I think we should consider. Looking at my time, like increasing the number of states with active National Women Political Caucus chapters, creating a traveling team to encourage prospective states to join or rejoin this great organization, like finding grants and funding to develop and offer simple application processes for online to learn how to campaign, write a budget, and maybe even manage a campaign. And we want to make sure that we elevate our level of transparency. Everybody needs to know what's going on with our organization. Donna has done an outstanding job. She indicates in those emails out. Like she said, we don't read them, but we need to, okay? We need to. One thing you need to know about me is that I'm an inclusive leader. I work well with people, all people. I have a track record of mentoring young women and helping them see their potential in advancing policy and running for office. My platform includes brand awareness, elevating it, strategic growth, working with the vice president of membership to grow this caucus, fundraising, working with the vice president of fund development to make sure that we're doing what we need to do to raise the money to make our organization more sustainable, candidate recruitment and training and support. And one thing that I think is so important is alliance building. We have to work with other women's organizations that support the mission that we have. I think that's going to be critical. Like our speakers yesterday, the future isn't about breaking us into many minority paths. It's about uniting all of us until we are all equal. My name is Deidre Malone, a longtime civil rights, women's rights activist who work every day to make you proud to be a feminist, an NWPC member, a compassionate woman, and a good troublemaker forever. I ask for your vote.
So you've heard what I promised, but in a deeper level, I want to share with you how I'm going to do it. What I think is important to our organization is, we need to do a better job of brand awareness, making sure that people know who we are, what we're all about, and recruiting additional members to join us as a part of the organization. So elevating that brand is going to be important to what we're going to do. Strategic growth. We currently have 12 caucuses, state caucuses. We have 50 states. So we really need to expand. Back in the day, we had caucuses across this country. I'm committed to making sure that at least we have 3 new caucuses a year because that's important. So working with our VP of membership and growing our caucus is going to be important. Another thing is strategic development. I have to take my glasses off because it's hot in the studio. Strategic development. What that means is that we're going to make sure that we fundraise because we need to be able to support these candidates that we are endorsing across the country. So strategic development is going to be key to what we're doing. But in order to have strategic development, we have to have a strong strategic plan. And as a part of that, our board and our delegates made sure that we, as a part of the convention, put together a strategic plan for our organization. How are we going to do that? We are identifying someone that's going to work really closely with the new board of directors, and we only have a short window to do that, but by the end of the year to create this plan. And so we're going to do that by the end of December of 2023. And a part of that is making sure that we develop leadership within our organization. Candidate recruitment, candidate training, and candidate support has always been key to our organization, and we're going to kick that up as well. But alliance building too, having strong relationships with like-minded organizations is going to be key to the growth of our organization. I'm committed to that. I'm a founding member of the board of directors for Emily's List here in Tennessee. So what's wrong with having a relationship with Emily's List at the national level? Nothing. We're all about healthcare when it comes to women. What's wrong with having a national alliance with Planned Parenthood? Nothing. So we have relationships with a lot of national organizations, but we're going to strengthen those alliances over the next 2 years, because when women come together with a common agenda, I believe we can accomplish a great deal. And what we're about accomplishing is making sure that we elect women who understand that families are important to this country, but women are important to this country, and we need women to step up and run for office. That's going to be key. So, as a part of our convention, a couple of things we made sure that we voted on and were advocated for are a couple of resolutions that I'm so proud of Missouri. Missouri brought in a group called the Ambassadors Program. It's a program that women 18 to 25 joined in Missouri. So what is important about that is at the national level, we approved a resolution asking caucuses across the country to start an ambassadors program. Some young ladies may be in college, some may not choose the college path, but may be out in the community working. And no matter what your experience is between 18 and 25, if you believe that you want to be able to have rights as anybody in this country, any man in this country, to be specific, but really have control over your body and your health care, then the Ambassadors Program is something that you may want to be a part of. It just made me feel so good to see these young women come to the convention and be delegates. I mean, they had an opportunity to vote on this, and they spoke to the importance of this program. And so we are committed at the national level to engaging women and recruiting women to participate in this process. And this resolution was approved overwhelmingly. Another resolution that I think is really important to mention is one around elected women. As a former elected official, I can tell you that I did have threats on my life, right? I had threats on my life around decisions and votes that I had to make for the betterment of Memphis and Shelby County. And there was a resolution that was advanced that we should make sure that women who are elected are protected. And in light of what happened to Speaker Pelosi's husband, your families can be attacked, okay? I used to be afraid to drive in my car. I had a convertible when I was elected because somebody, didn't like one of my votes and basically emailed me and said, "I hope you die from cancer." Now, this man who emailed me had a wife, had a family, but he wished that upon me. And so, women have to be so careful, men too, but women have to be so careful. And so I was very proud that the resolution was passed to make sure that, women are protected, those elected officials that are threatened. And we also had a resolution that advanced. I think I mentioned us having a strategic plan, and we have to have that done by the end of this year. But what I love about this is, our organization is an inclusive organization. And so what we plan on doing is making sure that we hear from the caucuses from across this country. It is so important that we know that we value them. We value the women and men. Men can be a member of the National Women's Political Caucus. My sons are members. Men who believe in women and women having a voice and women having equality in this country, please join us. It's not that expensive. We need soldiers to be aligned with us. But I digress. We also want to make sure that we have a plan that we can, a strategic plan that is a living document. So when I'm no longer president of the national organization, there is a roadmap for the next president, the 16th president, to come on board and follow that. And we can always adjust it. But definitely, we paid tribute to the outgoing National Women's Political Caucus Board of Directors. Donna Lent is a jewel. She has been the president of our organization for the last 8 years. I came into the organization when Donna was elected. And so that was my first time attending a convention. I don't remember if it was in New York or if it was in D.C., but what I took away from that convention was that Donna Lent was a fighter. She is an independent. She served as the Register of Deeds, I believe, in Brookhaven, New York, but she also worked for the legislature in New York. But she also managed campaigns, so you could tell just from the moment that I met her that she was a fighter. But what I loved about her leadership was she was inclusive. She had the most diverse board of directors in the history of our organization. And it was a privilege and an honor for me to serve at the time when she was first elected as the president of the National Women's Political Caucus of Tennessee. And so under my presidency, we became back aligned with the national organization, and it was a true joy. What Donna Lent did for our organization when she took over, we had financial issues. I don't want to talk about dirty laundry, but we had financial issues. And what was key was that she was such an astute person when it comes to business that she made sure that we got back on track financially, all right? And she had an incredible board working with her. I had an opportunity to serve under her as VP of Communications, but also served for 2 terms as her first vice president of the national organization. And so with that, we were able to do some incredible work working with, Kathy Allen, who was the vice president of training and education, Paula Wilmart, who was the vice president of political planning. And they, specifically Paula, had a tough job of looking at applications with her committee of women who were seeking our endorsement as a part of their election. And Kathy Allen, I became a certified trainer under Kathy Allen. Working with Kathy, we were able to train women across this country on how to manage a campaign, how to run as a candidate, and, just try to make sure that you understand every aspect of being a candidate and what a campaign looks like. Fundraising is key, but also being able to market yourself when you're a candidate is important. But also, when you're a candidate, being able to step back, not try and run everything, but let your campaign team know and exercise every aspect of the campaign, and you just focus on connecting with those constituents that you want to vote for you. So, Donna Lent, you've told me that I can call you at any time, and I know you're headed to Scotland and Ireland for this long vacation that you so deserve. But I look so forward to continuing to learn from you, and just, it's just a blessing for me to call you my friend, but to succeed you as the president of this national organization means the world to me. And so the types of things Donna would do for our organization is she helped fund a film called The Visit. And that film was actually shown at our national convention. The Visit is a short film written by Holt Hillsman and was directed by Bernadette Armstrong, about a married woman with 2 children who suffered a miscarriage. And as a result, The Visit, by an investigator from the Social Services Agency to determine whether or not she had an abortion. It was like a 12-minute short film. But the takeaway from that film was government is trying to really get involved in your everyday life when it comes to your choices of health care, specifically when it comes to women. And so, the young lady who was married, her husband was a vice president at a bank. She miscarried, but, this government employee came into her home asking her very intrusive questions about her children, about her marriage, trying to determine whether or not it was truly a miscarriage or whether or not she had an abortion. So if you've not heard of this short film, I know it's going to be submitted to various film festivals. It's one that you need to seek out because if you've not seen it, you need to see it because this too can happen to you if you're childbearing age. In some of these red states, like the state that I live in, which is the state of Tennessee. So make sure you support that, but I wanted to mention it for a couple of reasons. When you look at the credits, you'll notice that the National Women's Political Caucus was a producer of the film, but really it was Donna Lent, our national president, who actually supported The Visit, and we're just so proud of everything that she's done for our organization. So we talked about the fact that I'm the new president, excited about it, talked about those things that I want to do with this board. With our organization, women can nominate themselves to run for particular positions. And so there were very few women who actually stepped up and nominated themselves to run. My race was the only race that was competitive. Dr. Carmen Shea Estrada was running for president along with me, and Carmen has served for the organization as the first vice president, as well as the vice president of diversity, and is an outstanding member, and also serves as the president of one of the caucuses in California. Carmen and I consider Carmen a friend, and it was a well thought out election, and she ran a hell of a race. So, Carmen, congratulations to you on the race that you ran, and I look forward to continuing to work with you as the president of NWPC. But new board members. So I have the privilege of working with almost an entirely new board. Our first vice president, Dawn Lott, has served as vice president of development, and she still holds that role. But I really wanted Dawn, who we've served together over the years, to work with me as first vice president, and so grateful that our national board allowed Dawn to serve as first vice president closely with me. Someone who is a dear friend of mine, I've known her for 20 plus years, Gail Jones Carson, serves as vice president of communications in a role that I had before Gail, and so I know she's going to do a heck of a job making sure that the National Women's Political Caucus is seen and heard across the country. Another Memphian who was nominated and will serve as our vice president of membership is Ruby Powell Dennis. So let me just say, Tennessee has showed out, and we've showed up, and we're ready to work. So Ruby is going to be responsible for making sure that we have caucuses in all 50 states. She's got a lot of work ahead of her, and I'm committed to working with her to make sure that that happens. Lita Strassler is the Vice President of Political Planning and Appointments, and Lita has worked with the PPAC for years and is taking over a role that Paula Wilmot had, and so it's so critical. It's a critical role because what we have to do is make sure that we look at those applications for endorsement and we study them, and she has a committee that works closely with her. Chelsea Byers out of California as well. Chelsea is a city councilwoman out of West Hollywood, California, and one of our younger board members. So proud of Chelsea as stepping up and serving as the Vice President of Education and Training. Carol Comito is our Vice President of Diversity. Carol is living in Washington, D.C., and she's going to work with us on shoring up our D.C. caucus. Jane Van Clonel, I think I'm saying Jane's name right. Jane is our Vice President of Board of Operations, and she's going to work with us on making sure that all of our operational items are intact for NWPC. Relissa Galloway Perry is serving as our secretary, and Maria Hernandez is serving as the treasurer of our organization. I met Maria at the convention, and she is going to be a major asset to us. And Lakeitha Perul is our parliamentarian. She is absolutely amazing. And so that is the executive committee for the National Women's Political Caucus. And then every state president serves on our general board. So we're excited about the future, excited about the opportunity to serve, and just wanted to share with our viewers on Dialogue with Deidre the exciting news and the new role that I'm taking on at the National Women's Political Caucus. I want to thank you for joining us today. Make sure that you follow us on all of our Dialogue with Deidre social media platforms, but also on our M1 TV network platforms as well. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you again next Friday right here on Dialogue with Deidre. Have a good one.